welcome back to Room 9, our region's largest classroom. My name is Mrs. Stobbs and I teach kindergarten here in St. Louis at the Maplewood-Richmond Heights School District. And I'm going to teach a science lesson today to kindergartners and preschoolers, but learners of all ages are welcome to join. So let's get started. Alright, so the past few weeks we've been learning about scientists. We've been learning about who they are, what they do, and the tools they use. Remember we said that scientists have some tools right on their body, their 5 senses, but they also use other tools that help turn their 5 senses into super senses to learn about the world around them. And we're going to use some of those tools today to learn about living and non-living things. Do you know what that means? Do you know what living and non-living things are? Well, this might be a question that can help you. Do you know what it means if something is alive? That might be able to help you if you know what it means whenever something is alive. Okay, well let's see if we can figure out what that means. So I'm here in my garden today, and I want you to think about living and non-living things, and I want you to take some guesses because there are some living things in my garden, but there are also some non-living things in my garden. Can you take a close look and see if you can find anything in my garden that is living? Shout it out. What do you see? And I'm going to look too. Oh my goodness, look! I see a worm. Do you know that a worm is alive? That means that it's a living thing. I can see that it's moving. It looks like it was crawling through the dirt to eat some dirt. So that's a living thing. Let's put him back in the garden so that he can stay alive. I'll even cover him up with some dirt. All right, I'm going to use my magnifying glass. Do you remember that from our tools lesson? Okay, a hand lens to help us look more closely. Oh, I see a lot of bugs on this plant. Oh my goodness. Do you see those red and black bugs? I see that they're moving. I see one over here too. It's moving. So I think that I know that that is alive because it's moving. I know that bugs are alive. Oh my goodness, I also see my dog Oliver. Do you see Oliver over there? He's wondering what we're doing and he wants to be part of this video. He is a living thing too. Wow, so I see bugs that are moving. I see a dog that's moving. I saw lots of creatures. I can see lots of little creatures that are moving. So that might be one thing that we know that makes something a living thing, that we can tell if it's a living thing because it's moving. But what about the plants? Do you think plants are living things? Well, I know that I have to take care of my plants to keep them alive. And I know I've had plants die before whenever I haven't taken care of them, and they get shriveled up and brown and then they don't grow anymore. So I wonder if plants are living things. Let's keep that in our brain, if a plant is a living thing. Because I kind of think it is, because I know that it can die. Now, oh, I even see a butterfly. Do you see a butterfly? Look at that beautiful, beautiful butterfly on the flowers. That is another living thing. It's moving, it's flapping its wings, and it looks like it might be trying to get some food from the flower. All right, well now, let's switch. Now that we think we know what living things are, can you look in our garden and see if you can see anything that is non-living? Non-living things. What about the dirt? Is dirt living? I don't think dirt is living. I don't have to really take care of dirt. It's just there. What about a rock? A rock is a non-living thing. Oh, and there's another living thing barking. He wants to be part of it. The bricks. Our bricks are non-living. Oh, and also, what about this? Do you think that's living? It looks like it's living. It looks like it's a real hedgehog, but it's just a statue. So this is a non-living thing too. Now, I also saw something else in my garden that I wanted to ask you about. What do you think about a stick? Do you think a stick is a living thing? Well, I know it comes from a tree, which I'm pretty sure is a living thing, but what do you think about the stick now? Do you think if I planted this in the ground, would it continue to grow? I don't think so. So we might have some more questions about that. So I think we need to do some more research, think like a scientist, and learn more about living and non-living things to see if plants are alive, to see what makes something a living thing or a non-living thing, and also to see if a stick is alive too. So we have some questions that we want to ask, and we need to do some research to find out the answers to our questions. So let's head back to our classroom and do some research. All right, now we're back in our classroom, and I have charted some of our thoughts from the garden. So I have living up here and non-living, and I drew some of the things that we saw. So we saw a butterfly, a bug, a worm, my dog Oliver, and I drew a flower because we were pretty sure that flowers were living things, but we still had some questions about them. And I also labeled them, because remember, scientists label their pictures. I just wrote the first letter for each thing. Then we had our non-living things. We had dirt, a rock, the bricks, and here's my hedgehog statue. So I wrote an H for hedgehog and an S for statue. Now we still had some questions though. We were wondering about plants to make sure that they really are living things because we didn't see them move. And we were also wondering about the stick. So what do scientists do whenever they are trying to figure out the answer to their questions? Remember, we said that scientists read books, they observe, which we did, but it actually led us to more questions whenever we were observing the garden. They do tests or experiments, or they talk to experts. Well, guess what? I have a book about living things. It's called Is It a Living Thing? And let's read it to see if we can find some answers to our questions. Is It a Living Thing? It's by Bobbie Kalman. And this book is published by Crabtree Publishing Company. And they're the ones who said, I could read this book to you for the video. So is it a living thing? And this book has a table of contents. And a table of contents they're often found in informational books. And it tells us where we can find certain information. So if I wanted to learn about non-living things, I would go to page 8. So let's read. Is it a living thing? What is a living thing? Plants are living things. Wait a minute! We just found the answer to one of our questions. We were wondering if plants were living things, and this book told us plants are living things in the second sentence. Oh my goodness! So that is why we read books, because books can give us answers to the questions that we're looking for. Plants are living things, so now we know. Animals are living things. Oh, we were pretty sure about that too. People are living things. So I'm a living thing and you're a living thing. Living things grow and change. They move. These dolphins are leaping out of water. Are dolphins plants or animals? What do you think? I know that dolphins are animals. Living things need air, water, and food. Most living things also need sunshine. Name all of the living things you see on these pages. Well, I see a frog. I know that's a living thing. What do you think about a mushroom? I think it's a living thing too. What about this little boy? Oh, well, we said the people are living things. What about his sandwich he's eating? That is not a living thing. And flowers are living things too. Tiny cells. All living things are made of cells. A cell is tiny. You can see it only with a microscope. Do you remember learning about microscopes last week? This little boy is looking at a microscope, and microscopes make teeny tiny things big enough for us to see them. Some living things are made of just one kind of cell, but other living things have many kinds of cells. Animals and people have many kinds of cells. And here are some different types. Skin cell, bone cell, brain cell, blood cell, fat cell. This is what plant cells look like. And bacteria are a cell too. They're made of just one cell. How do cells look under a microscope? Some cells are shown on this page. These green cells are called chlorophyll. They are part of plants. They give plants their color. That's why leaves are green, because they have chlorophyll in them. These red cells are blood cells. You have millions of blood cells in your body. These are bacteria cells. Some kinds of bacteria can make people sick. All of those things are living things, or that's why we're a living thing, because we have cells. Non-living things. Air, water, sunshine, soil, and rocks are non-living things. These things are not made of cells. Non-living things are very important to living things. Living things could not stay alive without them. So even though water, air, sunshine, soil, and rocks are not living, we need them to live. And other creatures need them to live too. Like these sea stars are on a rock. The rock is a non-living thing, and the sea stars are living, but they couldn't live without those rocks. Plants need air, water, and sunshine to grow. Many plants grow in soil. Their roots find water under the ground. Some plants grow in soil that is underwater. And these plants are growing, it looks like, in like a little lake. Sunshine is energy. Living things need energy. Does anyone ever tell you you have a lot of energy? Yeah, sometimes kids, you guys seem like you have a lot of energy and you're bouncing all around. But have you ever felt like you have no energy and you sit like this and you say, I'm so tired? And what do you need whenever you have no energy? Well, you might need sleep, but you also might need food too. And let's read more about that. Living things cannot do anything without energy. Living things need energy to move and grow. All energy comes from the sun. Plants take the sun's energy and use it to make food. Plants are the only living things that can make food from sunshine. So that's pretty cool that they can turn sunshine into food. The energy of the sun is now in the plants. So whenever the sunshine hits the plants and the plants turn it into food, they now have the energy in the plants. When animals eat plants, they get energy from the sun too. When energy is passed from one living thing to another, there is a food chain. So the sun gave the plants energy, and now this groundhog is eating the plants, and now he's getting the energy so he can move and grow and stay alive. And these turtles, they are just staying they're laying in the sun to get warm. So they're using the sun's energy to stay warm instead of getting food. Air and water. Plants need air to make food. They use a part of air called carbon dioxide, and they breathe oxygen out. Animals and people need to breathe oxygen, and we breathe carbon dioxide out. So whenever you take a deep breath in, you're breathing in oxygen. And whenever you breathe out, you're breathing out carbon dioxide. But plants do the opposite. Whenever they take the air in, they want the carbon dioxide, and then they let go. They release oxygen. Now, have you ever seen a plant go, No. So they don't breathe like we do or like animals do, but they still do move air in and out. So let's look to see how plants and animals breathe. The pictures will show you. People and many animals breathe using lungs. Can you take a deep breath? Your lungs are filling up with air whenever you do that. Fish breathe using their gills. Frogs breathe through their skin, but they also have lungs too. Insects breathe through small holes called spiracles, and plants breathe through tiny holes called stomata. So that's how they breathe. They breathe through tiny little holes on the underside of the leaf. All living things need water too. Plants need water to make food. Animals need to drink water. Our bodies are made mostly of water. We need to drink water to keep our bodies healthy. Many animals live in water. These fish live in the ocean. Kinds of plants. Flowers, trees, bushes, and weeds are plants. Most plants have roots, leaves, and stems. Some plants have fruits. What kind of plants are these? I think they're flowers, right? This is a flower. Trees are the biggest plants, and they can grow in soil or in water. Bushes are smaller than trees, but they can still get pretty big too. Weeds grow almost everywhere. There are some weeds among the flowers below. And sometimes it's hard to tell which one are weeds and which are the flowers that were meant to be there, because sometimes weeds are beautiful too. Skip a few pages. Where do we live, or where do they live? Living things need places to live. Living things find water and food where they live. Plants grow almost everywhere. They can grow in cold places and in hot places. These plants are growing in a rainforest. Rainforests get a lot of rain. Many kinds of animals, like this toucan, live in rainforests. Different plants and animals live in different habitats. A habitat is the natural place where a plant or an animal lives. Mountains and deserts are some habitats. Oceans, lakes, and ponds are other habitats. People live indoors in homes that are built. These young mountain goats live high up in the mountain. Don't look down, because they're up so high. These kit foxes live in deserts in the United States and Mexico, down here. Grow and change. Living things grow and change. Plants grow and make new plants. This bean plant is making seeds that will grow into new bean plants. Animals grow and become adults. Adult animals can make babies. People also have babies. Human babies are born. Many animals are born too, but some animals hatch from eggs, like birds. A newt's life cycle. Every living thing has a life cycle. A life cycle is all the changes a living thing goes through from the time it is a baby to the time it is an adult. Some animals change a lot. This newt started its life in water as a tadpole, but now the newt is an adult that can live on land. So let's look at this life cycle. So it's kind of like a frog, if you've ever seen a frog's life cycle too, because a newt and a frog are both amphibians. They start as an egg, then they become a tadpole, and they almost look more like fish. They have a tail that kind of looks like a fish tail. Then they start to grow legs. Then they lose part of their tail. The frogs completely lose their tail, and they grow lungs, and then they become an adult newt or an adult frog if we were looking at a frog's life cycle. This is an adult newt, and then it lays eggs. So that's the life cycle. It keeps going and going and going. And that's the end, because here is the index of our book. So what did we learn from this book? We learned a lot, and that's why it's so great to read informational books, because they help us learn. So we learned that plants and animals are living things, and living things, they all grow and change. They all need food, air, and water, and they also move. And even plants move sometimes too. So you know what, friends, that made me think about it, because they were saying that plants sometimes move too. They don't move really fast. But they move slowly whenever they're growing. But also, plants sometimes move to face the sun. That makes me think of something. I have this really cool plant. And it has lots of leaves that I really like. I think the leaves are really neat on this plant. But sometimes, whenever I look at this plant, the leaves are facing in different directions. Now, I don't see the leaves or the plant go whoop and move really fast. But maybe one day, all of the leaves are facing over here. And then the next day, they're facing over to the other side. And it always seems like they want to follow the sun. So if I maybe turn the plant towards the sun, pretty soon, all of the leaves will kind of go this way. But then if I turn it again, and the leaves are over on this side, they'll still want to go to the sun. So that is something that is really cool. And we can, if you have plants at home, you can watch to see if they're following the sun. Now, what about our question about the stick? Because we know that plants are living things. But is a stick that you find on the ground, is it still living? Well, does it need food, air, and water? No. Does it grow and change? No. So you know what? I don't think the stick is living anymore after it's part of the tree. It's kind of like whenever you cut your fingernails. And after you cut your fingernails, they don't continue to grow and change. Whenever they're on your finger, they grow and they get longer and longer and longer until you have to cut them. But once they're done, they don't grow and change anymore. So I think it was part of a living thing, but it's not living anymore. So that's why we need to make sure that we're not pulling sticks off of trees, because we don't want to hurt the trees, right? All right. Well, my friends, I have something else that we're going to do. I have some pictures over here. And now that we know more about living things from this book, I thought that we could sort these pictures with the pictures that we already have on our chart. So let's look. Can you see all of those pictures? I see a lot of both living and non-living things. I'm going to start with some easy ones, because that book said people are living things, right? This is a baby. Is a baby a living thing? Can you give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down? It's a living thing. So I'm going to put the person up here on our chart. Okay. What about, oh, this one kind of goes along. We already have a picture of this animal on our chart. I already drew Oliver's picture on our chart, but here's another dog. So is a dog a living thing? Yes or no? Yes, it is. I'm going to put this right here. But wait a minute, what about this cute little stuffed puppy dog? Look at that cute little stuffed animal. I just want to give it a hug. But is that a living thing? No, a toy is not a living thing. This is non-living. So I'm going to put it here. It's kind of like how I had that hedgehog statue outside, where if it was a real hedgehog, it would be living, but a statue or a toy is not. What about your tricycle or your bicycle? It can move, and we know that living things can move, but does a tricycle move on its own? No, you have to pedal it. Or maybe if it's on a hill, it might move, but then it's gravity pulling it down. So this is a non-living thing. Okay, what about, oh, we already talked about this, but these are very pretty rocks. Rocks. Are rocks living things? No, they're not. They don't grow and change. They don't move on their own, and they don't need food, air, or water to survive. Okay, what about a fuzzy little kitty cat? Is that a living thing? Does it move and grow? Does it need food, air, and water? Yes, so a cat is a living thing, and it's an animal, and we know that all animals are living things. Oh, so what about this turtle? Well, I just said all animals are living things, so you know what? I might even take this fish, too. These are both pictures of real animals, living animals. They are both living things. Okay, what about this little toy, this little doll? What do you think? Oh, I see lots of thumbs down. You're right. This toy is not going to grow. It's not going to change. It's not going to move on its own. And you don't need to feed your toys food or give your toys water. So we're going to put this in non-living. Okay, what about a swing set? Do any of you have something like that in your backyard? It's super fun to play on, but is it a living thing? No, it is not a living thing. So I'm going to put it down here. And now we have two more. We have flowers, and we also have seeds. Well, our book told us that plants are living things, so I'm going to put it up here. But what about seeds? Do seeds move on their own? Nope, sometimes they might get blown by the wind, or like a dandelion seed, whenever you blow it, it might get blown by the wind. Does it grow and change if you just sit it on a table? No. Does it need food, air, and water? We might have to learn more about this. So now we have another question. Is a seed a living thing? I'm going to put it just kind of in the middle of our chart while we think about that. And what could we do to find the answer out if a seed is a living thing? Because I don't think our book said that the seed was a living thing. Maybe we should do an experiment. Remember, that's something else that scientists do to help them learn and find answers to questions. So I have a few different seeds. I have lima bean seeds, radish seeds, and sunflower seeds. And we're going to do a test. We can't do it all today because this takes a long time, but I'm going to leave some of the seeds in the bag, but then I'm also going to take, runaway seed. I'm going to take this seed and I'm going to plant it in some dirt. Okay, so I'm going to plant this seed in some dirt. And then we're going to see what happens. Do you think these seeds are going to grow and change, the ones that we just leave in the bag? Are they going to grow and change? What do you think about the seed that I planted? Will it grow and change? So that is an experiment that you can even do at home too. If you're unsure if a seed is a living thing, try this out. Get some seeds and just let them sit, but then plant some seeds and see what happens. Wow. So you'll have to come back next week and see what has happened to these seeds to see if these have moved or if that one has done anything different. All right. Well, my friends, we've learned so much about living and non-living things, but we're not done yet because living and non-living things can be found all around us. And it's so much fun to look for them. So I have a challenge for you for this week. I want you to ask a grown-up at your house to help you go on a living and non-living things scavenger hunt around your house, around your yard, around your neighborhood. And I want you to think like a scientist. I want you to bring a notebook or a piece of paper and draw what you see. And remember, whenever we are looking for living and non-living things, we're looking for things that grow and change, things that can move on their own, and things that need food, air, and water to live. Okay? So I want you to, as you're looking around, I want you to draw what you see. And then note if you see that maybe if it's moving, maybe you can draw a picture of it moving. Maybe if it's eating, if you see a squirrel outside eating, you can draw a picture of it eating. Or maybe you just know that what a squirrel eats, even if you don't see it eating. You might want to just write down that you know that it eats. And make some notes on your notebook or on a piece of paper so that you can think like a scientist and observe some living and non-living things. I'm going to go look in some different places. I looked in my yard already, but I want to check out some different habitats, different places where animals live, to see if I can find some different living and non-living things. Do you want to come with me? All right, let's go. Okay, so I'm on my nature walk to look for living and non-living things, and I see some squirrels out there. Do you see the squirrels? There's one over there and there's another one on that side, and they're running around. I know for sure that squirrels are living things because they move, they grow and change, they eat, they drink, they need air to breathe. So I'm going to draw this cute little squirrel right in my paper. Oops. I'm going to give him a nice bushy tail. Here's his eyes, a little ear, little mouth, little legs. I'm going to write squirrel. And I also see, look at this big, beautiful tree. That is a beautiful tree, and a tree is a living thing. Trees grow, they change, they need air, they need water, they need food from the soil. So a tree is a living thing. So I'm going to draw this tree too. And it has lots of limbs that come off of it. Now I'm by a little body of water, a little pond, and look what I see. Do you see that turtle? A turtle is a living thing, and this is its habitat. It lives in water or around water. So I'm going to draw my turtle really quickly too. Draw its legs, and I'm even going to draw the water around it. And he has some stripes right there. And I'm going to draw his, oh, and he got a little bit nervous. He went under the water. So, turtle. Turtle is a living thing too. This is so exciting. So my friends, I want you to go on a hike around your house, around your neighborhood. Go with the grown-up and see what living things you can find. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Teaching in Room 9 is made possible with support of Bank of America, Dana Brown Charitable Trust, Emerson, and viewers like you.